Let me tell you about stroke. It's an unpredictable health condition that can strike anyone, anywhere, and at any time. It is a major cause of disability worldwide and the second leading cause of death. I have here in studio Dr. Akopua Valentine. He's a physician specialist and neurologist in training at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital. Doctor, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
And thank you for coming. Right, so let's start with how stroke develops. I believe that it's a neurological or neurologically
neurological condition.
Yes. And it probably has a way that it begins, you know, at its formation level. Tell us about it and perhaps the signs.
Okay. So basically, stroke to the layman is a blockage in the blood vessels in the brain, could be in the eye, could be in the spinal cord. Before, we all thought stroke was limited to the brain, but in recent times, we know that strokes can also occur in the spinal cord, they can occur in the eyes. Now, we have a condition called atherosclerosis. So atherosclerosis begins to even manifest in every adult right from the age of 20 years. When that starts, usually what happens is that you have fat deposits that clog your blood vessels and decreases or narrows the vessels, and thereby not giving blood free flow to the parts of the brain to give you your full function. So at any point when there's a blockade in that part of the brain, then it will manifest depending on the part of the brain that is affected. So if it affects the brain that is the part of the brain that is responsible for arm movement, for instance, then you will not be able to move your arm. If it happens in the part that is responsible for speech, you may not be able to talk. Yes, so that is one form of stroke. Stroke can also occur as a result of a rupture of a blood vessel. So basically, we have two forms of strokes. We have what we call the ischemic strokes or infarctive strokes, and then the hemorrhagic strokes. The hemorrhagic strokes occur when the blood vessels ruptures. When it ruptures, then blood oozes out into the brain. And then the part of the brain that the blood is supplied by will have some manifestations based on its function. So basically, that is how strokes come by.
But what causes the, you know, all that you have said to happen? You know, so the blood gushing out, etc.
Okay, so basically we have risk factors. Now, the risk factors could be what we call modifiable and non-modifiable. There are some risk factors that you can't do anything about. Let's say increase in age. As you age, your vessels get narrower. Ethnicity, for instance.
Ethnicity?
Yes.
Wow.
So it has been found out that there are some ethnic groups or races that have a high incidence of stroke.
Is there an explanation why?
It's based on genetics.
Okay.
Yes. So there's a lot of studies going on genetics to identify what the root cause is. And then, again, it could be due to males generally have a higher tendency of getting a stroke than the female, because in early parts of life, females have estrogen levels that protects them. Okay. Now, the non-modifiable risk factors are the ones that, the modifiable risk factors, sorry, are the ones that you can do something about.
Okay.
So if you are hypertensive, you manage your hypertension. If you are diabetic, you manage the diabetes. If you are somebody who likes alcohol, then you have to reduce your alcohol intake.
Okay. Does alcohol necessarily cause stroke?
It's a risk factor.
It's a risk factor.
It increases your chances.
As in the amounts that you take?
Yes. So we say that if you have if you must drink, then you should drink at least 2 units of alcohol a day.
Okay.
2 units amounts to 2 bottles of beer.
Okay.
For females, we even say 1.
A day or a week or
a day?
A day.
A day.
Okay.
Yes.
So you can drink as many.
you limit it to 1.
I'm sorry, it's funny. Yeah. But you can drink as much as 2 bottles of beer a day.
For a meal.
For a meal.
Yes.
And
but
for females,
we say 1.
Why?
Yeah, it's still
because you've already said that females have estrogen levels that somehow protects them. So why would they rather be the ones with the caution of drinking less?
Yes, because females, also based on the genetics, are not able to metabolize alcohol as much as the males. Okay.
Interesting.
Yes. So even though in earlier life they have some protection, when they become menopausal, their risk increases.
Interesting.
Yes.
Very
and also
interesting.
Smoking, very important. Okay. Smoking is very important. 1 out of 10 strokes is as a result of smoking.
Okay.
Yeah. So
to what extent will you be susceptible to stroke if you smoked? So if you smoked for like say a year, 2.
The tennis, it increases your risk a tenfold. So it means that if you are somebody who,
a tenfold.
yes.
Wow.
If you are somebody that smokes a lot, okay, the more you smoke, the higher the risk of getting a stroke. So
what are we, in terms of smoking, what are we talking about here? Are you smoking the normal cigarettes or cigar
tobacco,
or marijuana?
And even some medications can also increase your blood pressure. So people who do cocaine, methamphetamines are not good. If you do that, you increase your blood pressure and you can have what we call a hemorrhagic stroke.
Okay. I mean, as for those ones, you can say largely, especially in a Ghanaian society or in a Ghanaian context, they will say, yeah, I mean, these are things that we don't usually have such a big problem with, but the things that people can see every day and do every day, smoking.
In the era of shisha,
yeah,
people combine all manner of things. You won't believe it, that people come in with very high BPs. You are wondering what they have done. When you dig into the history, you realize that they've concocted a lot of things that could have shot up their blood pressures. And then also we are emphasizing on exercise.
Yeah.
You see, when you exercise,
I'll talk about the what you have to do to avoid it, but the causes is what I'm trying to look at and see if we can help people with things they should avoid and things they should cut off. At least we've realized alcohol and smoking, and it's not like don't drink alcohol at all, even though I would say don't drink at all, but it's about moderation, drinking in moderation. And it's not also about not smoking at all, again, even though I would advise or recommend that you don't smoke at all. If you are a chain smoker and you're trying to cut down on it because you have heard today on the pulse that it puts you at a higher risk of getting stroke, what can you do? I mean, if you say smoke 10 sticks in a day, what is the recommendation?
What we advise is you gradually wean off. I mean, it's difficult for people who are chain smokers to just quit because they also go into withdrawal, what we call withdrawal, and it's not a good thing. So usually advise them to break it down over a period. We have support groups that will help them. We have medication that can help curb their need to smoke. Okay, so we can substitute with nicotine gums and patches that can help them.
I see.
Yes.
Let's talk about what you were saying. What are some of the lifestyles, other lifestyles, apart from cutting down on alcohol and smoking?
Other risk factors that are very important include a healthy diet. Most of us, we just eat. You go buy your bowl of fufu and then there's plenty meat. The fufu itself is so heavy. But it has been found out that fruits and vegetables are very effective at reducing your blood pressure and also reducing your risk of atherosclerosis, that is increasing your cholesterol levels.
Okay.
So a healthy diet is very important. Also, you have to check your weight. For people who can even lose 10 pounds of weight, for people who are overweight, usually we say somebody is overweight when you have a BMI, that is what we call your body mass index, of more than 25, okay? Those who are able to lose just 10 pounds of weight decreases their risk of strokes a fivefold. Nice. Okay, so it's very significant. Even the smallest amount of weight loss is very important.
Important. Yeah, I should be sharing that news with my my colleagues and my producers as well, Imanolante and Matilda to work at that. But then, so cutting down on alcohol, cutting down on smoking, eating healthy diet. You were talking about exercising.
And then exercise. Exercise is very important. You see, most of us don't know how to exercise. We work all week, we eat all week, then on weekends we go and do extensive exercises, and then we say we are exercising. The Keep Fit clubs. No. You should have at least 20 to 30 minutes of exercise 5 times a week.
Yeah.
That is
5 times a week. Yes. I thought 3 times a week was
5 times is ideal.
It's ideal.
For those who are pressed,
3 times a week is okay.
It's okay, but ideal.
5 times.
5 times a week. And then we also have some medical conditions, what we call atrial fibrillation. Your heart is beating at an irregular pace. That you will know unless you go to the hospital and it is picked up. It increases your risk of stroke. So when we pick those, we also treat them. And then again, people who are diabetic, it also increases your chance of a stroke. So if you are diabetic, we advise that you adhere to all your medications.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. When you have stroke, you have, let's assume that maybe you didn't hear this news early enough. You've done everything and you have a stroke now. How can you manage it? In fact, is there a way you would know that it is coming?
So stroke is very interesting. Usually, you may not have warning signs. It's a sudden condition.
Wow.
So it's sudden. And that is how we are able to identify it. It's very sudden. So when you have a sudden weakness in your arm, difficulty seeing, or you have difficulty talking, then those may be signs of stroke. We use a popular acronym called FAST, where we say FAST is for what? Facial weakness, A for arm weakness. I don't know if you have the slide. S for speech. And then T is time, because time is brain.
Okay.
The more you waste time, the more you have damage. So when you notice any of these things, you quickly rush
to the hospital. Okay, let's wrap up with what you can do when you've been diagnosed. They say you're dealing with stroke. What do you do?
Okay, so management of a stroke comes in different stages. We have the hyperacute, the acute, and then the continuous rehabilitation form. So with the hyperacute, usually when the patient is able to come in within 6 hours of a stroke, if it is an infarctive type, we are able to give some medications that will lyse the clot. Okay. So when you come in time, 6 hours is very crucial. We are able to do that. Beyond that, we have what we call secondary measures. Okay. So the secondary measures are medications we give to try and prevent a subsequent stroke. Okay. And then in the long term, rehabilitation is very important. Assuming the person was working, is the breadwinner for a family, suddenly has stroke. You can't do anything. So for such people, we usually have a multidisciplinary team where we have the physiotherapists, the speech therapists, we have the dietitian, the doctor, the stroke nurse. We all come together and try to take the people to rehabilitation.
It's a lot. And I would rather you don't get there at all. So you have to deal with all of these things and the daily routine that you have to go through. We'll wrap up this conversation. But so it's 2020 World Stroke Day. Is there anything special happening?
Yeah, so this year we are focusing on exercise. That's why we say join the movement. Don't be the one. Okay. We are asking everybody to start dancing. Yeah. So you dance, you pass it to the next person by you. Yeah. So the whole world should go dancing. Dancing is a form of exercise.
I figure that dancing is very good. So with this watch, I try to monitor my steps, and I try to target 10,000 steps a day. It's very difficult to get 10,000 steps because at the end of the day I have 3,000 steps.
Yes. Aerobics, very good.
Yes, but I dance on Sundays, sometimes when I go to church and even at home, and I realize that I make more than 10,000 steps.
The Sunday church dancing is in a different environment.
I'm just saying. Yes. I'm just saying this. But
it's good because we hear those stories a lot. A lot of people will say, "Oh, but I walk a lot. I work in the."
Is walking not good?
It is good, but the walking has to be a conscious, relaxed fashion, not the stressful one, because stress in itself leads to stroke. Okay. One other thing I need to emphasize here is the fact that more and more we are seeing more young people coming with strokes. Wow. And this is attributable.
How old are they?
I mean, we have people as young as 25, 30
with strokes.
With strokes on our wards, so it's very common. Wow. Okay. And hypertension is a leading cause. Most of us don't check our blood pressure. Once you are an adult, each year at least you should try to check your blood pressure.
Okay. It's been very good information, I believe, even though it's short. I believe it's very good information that helps you on what steps you ought to take. Avoid a stroke. Don't be the one. So let's keep dancing around the world. So I believe there's something that's going on social media, and people will be able to join. I've been talking to Dr. Valentine Akolpua. Akolpua. Dr. Valentine Akolpua. I got it at the first time. I don't know why. He's a physician specialist and neurologist in training at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital, sharing with us thoughts on stroke and how to prevent it. Thank you very much for coming once again.